everyone, my name is Melody and I'm coming at you live from, you already know. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking with you about some of the differences that I have experienced between traveling in Asia and traveling in Europe. So as most of you may know, I taught in Korea for 2 years and I also traveled a lot around Asia while I was living in Korea. So I feel like I have a little bit of experience traveling in Asia, the vibe, the experience, what to expect. I kind of was used to that. And now that I've been in Europe for a little over a week now, I went to the UK, Italy, and now I am in Spain. So I kind of wanted to just get on here and give you guys my first impressions of Europe versus Asia and kind of what I've been experiencing and maybe what you too could experience if you travel in Asia or Europe. So if you're interested, then just keep on watching. So the first thing we're going to talk about is communication. Now for me, this is really important. When you're traveling places, you want to feel connected to people. Traveling around Asia, there's that one thing that makes it a little bit difficult is that communication. It's just hard to communicate with others. You really rely on Google Translate. Now, one thing I've experienced here in Europe is it's so much easier to communicate with people. And this is kind of twofold because yes, I would like to say that more people speak English than they do in Asia, but on top of it, I did study Spanish in school and I am in Madrid right now, so they speak Spanish here. And when we were in Italy, Italian is very similar to Spanish. So I was kind of able to put things together more. I was able to just generally engage with others more fluidly. So it's been really nice. It feels really nice to feel more connected to people. Like just last night, we were coming home in a taxi and I was kind of able to talk with the taxi driver in Spanish and it felt so good. That is one thing so far. I think traveling in Europe, it is way easier to communicate with people versus traveling in Asia. So the next thing is people's responses to blackness. Being black in Asia, there's a tension that comes with that. They, for the most part, are not used to blackness in any way, shape, or form. You are a rarity to them. And so there's a certain level of fascination that people have. They want to kind of take pictures with you. They might even take pictures of you without your consent. They might gawk at you, but typically it comes from a place of, wow, I've never seen someone that looks like you. And so you kind of can understand it because you know they're not being mean. It's almost like a childlike wonder, you know? Not all the time, but most of the time. But what I've experienced in Europe, specifically in Italy, it wasn't the fascination, it was stares that come from a place more of, what are you doing here? And at first I thought I was being really sensitive, and I kind of talked about this on Twitter the other day. And I know no one is outrightly saying, what are you doing here? But just the way that they look at you, the way that they might interact with you, the way that they don't move off the sidewalk for you, things like that. Yeah, it doesn't feel so good. In Italy, the more north that we went, the more that I felt it. In Rome, I didn't feel it so much, but in Florence I did, and in Venice I did as well. So that's one thing to definitely keep in mind. And when I was talking about it on Twitter, I had some people reply to me and saying that like that's one of their fears while traveling, you know, feeling that kind of judgment or feeling that just disdain for your existence. And I kind of wanted to tell you guys that yes, you might feel that, but I feel like don't let someone else's idea of whether you should be there or not stop you from going there, especially if it's somewhere that you want to go. I feel like life's entirely too short. And yeah, I'm still happy that I went to Italy. I'm still happy that I got to experience it and see all these beautiful things. And maybe by me going, other Black travelers going, it will become more of a common thing and less of a rarity. And so, you know, we could be paving the way for future, you know, our children, our future Black travelers to go there and not feel the way that we felt, you know? I think I'm getting off topic, but hopefully you guys feel what I'm going for with that one. So yeah, that is going to be the second thing on the list. The next thing on the list is going to be costs. Cost of living, cost of traveling, just general cost of things from Asia to Europe. Oh my gosh, is Europe more expensive? Now I knew this, you know, like I know that Asia's notoriously cheaper, specifically Southeast Asia. I'd say Japan is definitely not cheaper. Hong Kong's not that cheap either. But generally, Korea and down Southeast Asia is relatively inexpensive. But Europe is in a whole nother ballpark. Things are just more expensive. So for instance, I'd say something that you can kind of base cost of living off of is how much is a bottle of water. In Korea, I could get a bottle of water for a whole liter of water for $1. I could get like a single serving water bottle for 50 cents. In Europe, specifically Italy, I would pay anywhere from €1 to 1.4 euros, and I'll do a little conversion for you right there. So just for like the simple necessities of water, it was more expensive. So let's talk about food. So in Asia, typically when you're eating out, you can eat street food, you can go to a restaurant, and usually you'll spend anywhere between, I mean, from a street food vendor, like a little snack, you can get anything from like less than $1 up to, I'd say like 12 bucks max if you're like, I don't know, balling out or something. But in Europe, so far what I've experienced is an average meal for like one entree is going to be anywhere between $8 to $12, depending on what you're getting. Usually pizza was one of the cheaper things. You get like a pizza for €8, and then a pasta, depending on what kind of pasta you're getting, it can range anywhere from €8 up to €12. Then if you want a salad, then they charge you for bread. Then if you want water, they charge you for water. Luckily, they don't really do tipping, so you don't have to worry about that, but things just add up really quickly. And we didn't know the thing about bread, that you had to pay for bread. You know, in America, usually you're given bread for free. No, not free. And sometimes this bread you're getting is not even delicious. And you're like, why am I paying €2 for this bread I don't even want to eat? So there's one thing I realized you can do, send the bread back, tell them that you don't want it, and then they won't put it on your tab. Especially if you're not gonna eat it, it doesn't look good, and it's €2 that you can save. So yes, guys, Europe is way more expensive than Asia, So the last thing on the list is the general aesthetic differences between Asia and Europe. So coming from living in Korea, I was kind of used to Asian architecture in a way. So they have lots of temples and like ornate kind of designs at the top, very colorful, very ornate, very detailed. And then coming to Europe, when we were walking around London, that was our first stop, I was just like, wow, everything looks so old. And I really like that. I feel like in Korea, things were old. It typically was like rather small and old. The bigger things were newer structures. But here, at least in London, what I noticed was a lot of the buildings look old. Now, you know they're modern inside. I'm assuming that's what they were. But they just look visually old, and I really like that. Everything looks like it just has so much history. And then the next stop after London was Rome, and of course everything in Rome is super old, and it just looks beautiful. Just every corner, every street you take, it just looks like a perfect photo op. It's just gorgeous, everything. And then going to Florence, things also are just old. Everything is old, but it's so beautiful and grand and detailed and just reeking with history. And I'm really loving it. I'm loving the architecture. I just think it's really beautiful, and it makes me want to read up on the history, understand the culture, and like why things are the way that they are and where they got this type of architecture style. And yeah, I'm just really enjoying that. Really enjoying the aesthetic differences. All right, guys, so that is going to be it for me. These are just 4 of my immediate first impression differences between Asia and Europe. And like I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I've only been here for a little over a week, in Europe, maybe almost a week and a half. So I feel like I have a lot more to experience and a lot more to kind of settle into. So as I spend more time in Europe, I will definitely make an updated video and kind of give you guys more of my thoughts on the differences between Asia and Europe. So if you enjoyed this video, definitely give it a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, be sure to down below. And also, if you haven't signed up for the Making Moves newsletter, you get about 2 emails a month from me, and I'm updating you on kind of where I am in the world, what I'm doing, and I also give you guys some traveling tips and tricks. So if you're interested, the link is always in the description box. And I think that's gonna be it, guys. Stay awesome and stay inspired, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace.